Imagine you're a Roman emperor. You've got the biggest empire the world has ever seen at that point. You've got legions, wealth, and statues of yourself in every province. You're practically a living god. And then, poof, you disappear. Not because you went into exile or died heroically in battle, but because you got kidnapped. That's exactly what happened to Emperor Valerian in 260 CE. 1 minute, he's leading a grand army to put the upstart Persian King Shapur I in his place. The next, he's in chains, paraded around like a circus act, and depending on which ancient gossip you believe, used as a human footstool. Talk about a career change, but this isn't just about one unlucky emperor's worst day at work. Valerian's humiliating defeat at the hands of the Sassanid Persians was a disaster that sent shockwaves through the Roman world. It shattered Rome's eastern defenses, exposed its vulnerabilities, and most importantly, for our story set, off a massive refugee crisis. People fled in every direction: Roman soldiers, border townsfolk, aristocrats, merchants, and even entire cities on the run. Some tried to rebuild, others vanished into history, and a few found creative ways to survive. This is their story, the ancient world's version of a mass exodus, full of drama, survival, and of course, a little bit of Roman-style backstabbing. When Valerian's army met the Sassanids near Edessa, modern-day Turkey, the Romans probably thought, hey, we've beaten these guys before. How bad can this be? Turns out, pretty bad. Shapur. I didn't just defeat Valerian, he annihilated his army. The Roman forces were either killed, captured, or scattered. And once the news got out that the emperor himself was in Persian custody, the entire eastern part of the empire went into full panic mode. Who was in charge now? What would the Persians do next? Should people stay and fight, or run for their lives? The Persians, not wanting to miss an opportunity, started raiding deeper into Roman territory. They sacked cities like Antioch, a major Roman hub, stole everything that wasn't nailed down, and took thousands of captives back to Persia. Imagine waking up in a nice Roman villa one day, and the next, you're in Persia, being told to help build a bridge. Talk about an unexpected career shift. The refugees came in waves. Soldiers who escaped capture fled westward, many of them heading toward the city of Palmyra, ruled by the ambitious Queen Zenobia. Townspeople and traders rushed to fortified cities, hoping the walls would hold. Some took to the seas, escaping to Cyprus or Crete. Others just ran as far as their sandals could take them. Meanwhile, the Roman government was having a slight meltdown. Gallienus, Valerian's son, was now in charge, but he had a few problems. His father was missing, awkward, half the empire was in rebellion, Germanic tribes were invading from the north, and now thousands of refugees were flooding into safer provinces. Managing this mess was like trying to put out a fire while being attacked by wolves. One of the strangest parts of this whole disaster was how Shapur I handled his new prisoners. Unlike other conquerors who just killed or enslaved their captives, Shapur had a long-term plan. He took the most skilled Roman engineers, architects, artists, and craftsmen and shipped them off to Persia. He needed people to build bridges, roads, and fancy palaces, and since the Romans were pretty good at that, why not use their talents? This led to entire Roman communities springing up inside Persia. One of the most famous was Shapur, a city in modern-day Iran that became a hub of Roman-Persian fusion culture. Think of it as a Roman expat town, except nobody had a choice in moving there. Over time, these Roman refugees helped shape Persian engineering and medicine, blending the best of both civilizations. Meanwhile, other captives were forced to march eastward, settling in far-off places like Sogdiana, modern Uzbekistan. For some unlucky Romans, their new home was the Persian frontier, where they probably spent the rest of their lives thinking, "This was not what I signed up for when I joined the Legion." While all this was happening, one city in particular rose to prominence: Palmyra. Located in the Syrian desert, Palmyra had always been a bit of a wild card. It was Roman, but also had deep connections with Persia. And now, with the eastern provinces in chaos, refugees flocked to it. Enter Queen Zenobia. Zenobia saw what was happening and thought, why not take control of this mess? She welcomed the refugees, recruited soldiers, and declared herself the protector of the East. For a while, she did what Rome couldn't. She held back the Persians and even expanded her own little empire. Rome, of course, wasn't thrilled about this, and after a few years, they crushed her rebellion. But for a brief moment, Palmyra became a haven for those fleeing the Persian onslaught. Imagine you're living in 260 CE, and you hear that the emperor has been captured. The Persians are burning down cities, soldiers are abandoning their posts, and there's no clear leadership. What do? Would you pack up and flee to the nearest Roman stronghold? Try your luck with Queen Zenobia and join her growing empire? Stay put and hope the Persians don't notice you, get captured, and start a new life building bridges in Persia? History was shaped by people who made these choices, and their stories are still waiting to be told. Now, about our missing emperor, if you were hoping for a daring Roman rescue mission, prepare to be disappointed. Valerian never saw Rome again. The ancient sources tell different versions of his fate, and none of them are flattering. One story claims that Shapur I kept him as his personal human footstool, literally stepping on him whenever he mounted his horse. Another version says Valerian eventually died in captivity, and Shapur had his body stuffed and put on display as a trophy. Imagine walking into a Persian palace and seeing a taxidermied Roman emperor in the corner. A conversation starter, to be sure. Regardless of how it ended, Valerian's defeat was one of the most embarrassing moments in Roman history. But for the countless people displaced by the war, it was much more than that. It was the beginning of a journey, one that forced them to rebuild their lives in ways they never expected. And in a way, that's what history is all about. Not just emperors and battles, but the ordinary people caught in between, doing whatever it takes to survive.